What is going on, nerds of wrestling, and welcome to today's bonus episode of What's Up Wrestler, a podcast by Nerds of Wrestling. I am your host, Justin Del Rio, and my guest at this very time is Charlie Kruel. Charlie, what is going on? How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing very good. Thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for being patient with me. My schedule lately has been crazy. A lot
Not
of
to
stuff's
worry.
been going on.
Not to worry at all. I hope everything's okay on your end. Speaking of that, we're going through a crazy time right now with this whole COVID stuff. How are you able to kind of, are you keeping a positive mindset? Are you kind of like, I just want this to be over already?
I mean, both. I've been keeping it positive, but also I just want this to be over already. I got my first shot. I'm about to get my second one. I think next week is my second one. Not excited for that because I heard the side effects are going to be crazy. Or no, in 2 weeks, actually, I get my second one. But yeah, I've been just keeping positive thoughts, training, wrestling, keeping it going.
Yeah, well, take it from me. The second shot isn't that bad. I mean, it affects everybody differently. Hopefully, you don't take anything. Hopefully, it doesn't affect you as much as, unfortunately, it did to a lot of people. But just I've been vaccinated for the past 4 weeks. It feels good, so it's done. You'll feel better once you get it done.
That's right. I know the first shot affected me a little bit. I definitely had to call off work the next day because my arm was so numb. I couldn't really, it hurt to move it. So I just stayed in bed all day. I was feeling a little sick too. So hopefully the second one isn't that bad.
Well, like you said, hopefully you'll be fine. If anything, the side effects are worth it in the long run. I think.
Right, right.
There's so much wrestling going on in the world right now. Weird segue, by the way. Have you been keeping up with any of the current products?
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't have cable, so I don't watch it on my TV or anything. But social media, I keep up with all of it. WWE, AEW, NXT, of course. Ring of Honor with their women's stuff they're doing is really cool. So I've been keeping up with all of it.
If you could pick one promotion that you love the most, what would it be?
Oh, that's so hard. Well, when I was younger, my answer would definitely be WWE because that's what I wanted since I was a kid. It's still what I want. I mean, my goal and my dream is to be in WWE and NXT one day. So I gotta go with that. But as a fan point of view, AEW has been killing it lately. So
Dude,
I
they've
would love to
been
go there
knocking it
too.
out. Yeah, they've been knocking it out of the park. Sorry to interrupt you, but man, they've
No, you're fine.
been knocking it out of the park. What really got you into wrestling as a fan? When did you start watching?
I was a little girl, a young age. I would think I wanted to be a wrestler at 11. So I started watching a little bit before that. My brothers were really into it. I don't know what happened, but my brothers were watching and my stepdad were watching. I just came in and I started watching one day. And it just kind of clicked. It kind of kind of how I felt when I first saw all my animals that I have at home. It's just like that love connection you feel when you see something, you're like, this is it. That was kind of my connection, my feeling that when I first saw it. I can't remember my first match. I think actually my first match I've ever walked in and just started watching, and I was like, that's what I want to do one day. It was actually a Divas match at the time. I can't remember the match exactly, but I'm pretty sure Layla was in the match, but I'm not 100% sure, but I can't remember who she was wrestling, but I just remember her being in the match. And so I just kind of got really into it, and I got really so into it that I don't think I missed a week after that. It was at the time it was Monday Night Raw and then Friday Night SmackDown.
Right.
And NXT I don't think was huge then. I think they just was starting with their it was 2011, so they were just starting with their their seasons or whatever. It
Yeah,
was
the competitions of everything.
Yes, the competitions. They did the competitions at first. They started doing that. I didn't really watch it first with NXT, but I was always watching Raw, SmackDown. At the time, there's no WWE Network, so if you wanted to watch a pay-per-view, you had to pay for it. So a lot of times I couldn't watch the pay-per-views because my stepdad and my mom and stuff just didn't want to buy it. I think there were some few that were like special occasions that they were like, well, if you do good in school or you get good grades, then you can we'll get this for you. And
there you go.
That's all I wanted. Yeah, that's all I wanted. So I think the first pay-per-view they ever bought for me that I actually watched live was SummerSlam. I can't remember the year. I think it was 2012. 2012.
That was a good one.
The first. Yes, it was. It was very good. And after that, like, yeah, just over there. And my first time I ever watched it live, like, the fan and the audience is actually not until 2013. Because a lot of times we didn't have the money to go to the shows when they came to our town. So, as a gift for me, my stepdad took me and my stepbrother to Monday Night Raw that was happening at the Banker Life Fieldhouse in Indianapolis on March 13th, 2013. And it was, that made me love it even more. It was so amazing. I remember freaking out when I saw AJ Lee for the first time live. It was mind-blowing to me to see all of that. So
I love that. So I find it funny that you started watching WWE. You said around 2011.
Yes, I think.
A lot of people will be like, "Oof, that's a pretty bad time for WWE." And I was talking to an old friend, and he said the same thing. Like, he started watching at a very bad time in 2011. But I'm assuming once you started watching, you're like, "Oh, okay, this is who they are. This is who he is." Oh, they just mentioned a wrestler that is not wrestling anymore. Let me go look him up, and then that brought you to a whole bunch of other wrestlers. Who was like first one legend that you didn't know who they were before that you know now?
Well, one thing I actually started watching, I think I was 11. So,
Right.
I was 11
okay.
when I wanted to wrestle. So it was about 2009, 2010
Okay.
area. But 2011, I think it got more serious. So, yeah, it wasn't the best time. It got better in 2012, I think. So what was the question?
I was gonna ask, like, there's so many wrestlers in WWE that were not wrestling at the time in 2011 as much as they used to, like, Bret Hart, Mick Foley, and all them. Who are some wrestlers that you saw then and that you were hooked to, like after looking them up, researching them?
Oh, like that weren't like wrestling, but they were legends in WWE.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Sensational Sherry, Luna Vachon, Stone Cold, Lita, Trish. Oh my God, I can go on and on, but that's it. Yeah.
There's
Triple H.
like you said, there's so many wrestlers out there that you could go on and on. I wanted to hear more about you, Charlie. When did you finally decide to, bite the bullet and go to wrestling school?
So when I was like 17 years old, this wasn't wrestling school, but it helped start me off in the right foot. I started doing a lot of jiu-jitsu and Muay Thai kickboxing. It only lasted like 2 years, until I graduated high school, and then I went to wanting to go train for wrestling. I keep thinking I want to get back in it. I just don't have the money right now, but I want to get back into Muay Thai and doing jiu-jitsu and stuff again. But for 2 years, I did jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, kickboxing, and after that, I went to when I was 19. I started right when I graduated high school in 2017. I think not even long after, I immediately, like a month after, I would say, maybe a few weeks after, I started at Grindhouse Pro Wrestling in Jeffersonville, Indiana. And my first trainers were Rudy Switchblade, and then right after, I was introduced to Aaron LaMotta, who we call Cheese. both wrestled for OVW and, you know, really had a good career. And I also, you know, Too Tough Tony owns the building, so I was trained under him as well. But yeah.
Stepping foot in the ring for the first time, what was going through your mind? What was your first back bump like, or running the ropes? What was all that like?
So when I first stepped into the ring, it was literally there. It was in that ring specifically. And I was like, this is what this feels like. Like, I've been watching it all my life, and I go into a ring and I'm like, this is what it feels like to be in a ring. That's so weird. It was a weird feeling. It actually took me a while to bump, because it just obviously is not natural for your body to go without you trying to catch yourself. So
Right.
when I started, it wasn't, I was getting frustrated with myself so many times that I just wanted to quit and I just didn't want to do it anymore. But like, there's a part of me that's like, no, I can't quit. I'm in this to, you know, to not stop, to keep going. Because I love it so much. And so when I started actually bumping, like, that's when I like, okay, this is it. This is real. But no, when I first started bumping, it was so bad. I was so embarrassed. I told my trainer, do you think I could come in early to start bumping by myself to learn how to bump so I can take those few steps and not in front of my the fellow students that I had with me? You know, because it was just embarrassing trying to do it in front of them, I guess. But no, like, I was like, a lot of people started learning how to bump really quickly, and I was the only one that was like still really struggling with it, because it wasn't, I don't know what it was. It's just like, even now there's things that like I just won't do in wrestling, or at least can't do, or there's just
Right.
like things that like it's, I get too much in my mind. And that's kind of how it was with bumping. When I first started bumping, it was just, I was too much into my mind, and I was just like, oh my God, if I bump, I'm gonna die. But no, it was great. When I started bumping, I started really taking off with all this stuff. So
I love that. The question I was going to ask, and you kind of like knocked it out of the park. You answered it for me. I was going to ask, how did you kind of keep such a positive mindset while training and going through those doubts? What you said, no, I got to do this, but was there anything else going through your mind?
my brothers were huge huge motivators for me when it came to that stuff. I mean, it happened in jiu-jitsu and kickboxing too. When I did that, I was very hard on myself. I was very frustrated because I was like, oh my God, I'm not getting this. You know, my trainers there were actually more hard on me than the trainers I had in wrestling training. I think because he was like a former Navy SEAL, so like
Oof,
he was just
oof.
naturally strict. And he was always strict with me, like, no, 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 you need to do it like this, you know, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, oh my God, why are you yelling at me? But I was so young, and I was just very babied. And growing up by my mom, I am her only daughter, so I was very babied. And so where was I? Bumping, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah, it's
keeping
all good.
motivated and stuff. Sorry. Um, yeah, so my brothers would just, you know, talk to me about it and just be like, you wanted this since you were a kid. You're not giving up just because you have this one obstacle that you're not getting right now. You know, like, in jiu-jitsu, we do these jiu-jitsu rolls, and at first I wasn't good at them, but then I started being very good at them. And that's kind of like how they told me. They were like, it's just like that. You gotta, you know, you don't know how to do it at first, but when you start, you know, you'll get better and better and
Right.
better at it. And I just kept keeping positive and kept my mind up and just focusing on the good and the positive about all this.
I love that. It seems like your family was very, very inspirational to you. So shout out to your brothers for that. Uh, Fast forward a little bit after your training, after you're done. When did you finally get booked? How long did it take you to get booked in your first show?
Oh my gosh. So this is a crazy story. Not really
Let's
crazy.
hear it. Let's hear it.
My first time I got booked, this I know is very bad, and I do not encourage anybody, if you're getting into wrestling, to ever do this, because I was following the wrong advice in the wrong footsteps for a long time in wrestling. I'm not going to say his name. He was part of the cancel culture last year. So he is no longer, and it's very good. I was one of the people that came out about him as well. Funny because he's making fake accounts to harass me right now on Twitter too, which is hilarious, but I blocked all of them. So the block button, thank you for being there. It's crazy. I was following his footsteps a lot because I thought he was my friend. And I thought he was going to help me get places, and I just trusted him. And he told me I was ready, and my trainers told me I was not ready when I first started. And I didn't listen to them, and I listened to him because I thought that he was right. And I was very stupid and naive, and he knew that. I'm also autistic, so that doesn't help my case, and he knew that, and he took very, very much advantage of it. And so my first time I ever got booked outside my school was actually a show in Ohio I no longer work for, but they are called Battle on the Border. And I remember doing that show. I wasn't even in a match. I think I did a run-in because they wanted me to start a storyline with Shauna Reed, which lasted for 2 years. But I did that there, and I got chewed out so bad to where I couldn't take the rest of the bookings. It was bad. So that was my first time getting booked. Was not memorable. Was really bad. I don't encourage any new students coming into the game to ever try to do this or ever go against their trainer. Your trainer knows best. If your trainer knows you more than some random dude on the freaking streets, that like saw me, an 18-year-old naive girl at the time I was 18, and wanted to take advantage of that. So always listen to your trainers and don't listen to anybody else. And if anybody's like, oh, you're good enough, we'll just be like, well, if you think I'm good enough, tell that to my trainer, and they'll tell you otherwise, because I'm not, I'm not there yet. But now that I was finally given the okay, I started wrestling for Girl Fight Wrestling, Emerge Wrestling, which I'm now women's champion at. So many shows, so many. But yeah.
Damn, that story is kind of crazy about your first booking. I'm sorry that happened to you. But whatever for that promotion. Some people who I want to talk about is the opponents that you face, such as Billy Starks, Dream Girl Ellie, Sky Blue, and Fantasy. The first name I mentioned, Nerds. If you have not heard of Billy Starks, please go check her out, because holy shit, that mother, she is a fucking workhorse, and she is insane. What was it like to wrestle Billy Starks, or those names I just mentioned? I know you have tons of other matches that I didn't mention.
I thought you were asking me if I knew who Billy Starks was, and it's so funny because I was the first person that trained with her. So I was like, no, I don't know who Billy is. I've never met her in my entire life. Who is she? No,
of course I know you know who you. Of course I know you know.
Yes, I trained with Billy. So me and her. Oh, sorry. Like my bunny was sleeping, and
Okay.
I looked over and I just had a duck pass away. So that scared me for a second. But yes, Billy. Billy was my first. Sorry, that threw me off guard. Let me start over real quick. So when I first started training with Billy, me and her first match was actually at Grindhouse, of course. I was there for her first match and everything. So wrestling Billy, it's easy. It's a cakewalk because we just know each other so well. It's hard to not have good matches when you've trained with somebody for that long, that
Right.
you just know each other inside and out. So having matches with her is just easy. We both know we can hit each other and it's going to be okay. Yes, she is very good. Me and her have really good matches together. Sky Blue, another girl I wrestled only one time. She is very good as well, and I would love to have another match with her. I had a match with her at New Wave Pro, and I think it was in Terre Haute. I'm pretty sure Terre Haute, Indiana. I'm pretty sure it was, and I loved it. I loved every single second of it. she's an amazing opponent as well. Fantasy, I've wrestled only once. It's been a while. I've only met and wrestled her once, and that was the only time I think I've ever really met her and wrestled her.
Wow.
And yes, we had a really good match. She's fun to wrestle. I would like to have another match with her. Who else did you mention? Dream Girl Ellie.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. I wrestled her, I think, twice. I think once singles and another one in a triple threat, which Billy was actually a part of. And it's so funny.
Sick.
So this match happened in Jeffersonville, Indiana, the same building that me and Billy train at. And it was me versus Billy versus Dream Girl Ellie, at least I thought. And what happened was this ring announcer came over to us and asked us, of course, for our information before the match. We told him, Ellie told her, her stuff. I told her mine, and then Billy told hers. And we got out there. The match started. Billy was out first, and he didn't call her Billy Tista, Space Jesus, Billy Starks, whatever. I think he literally just called her Space Jesus.
Oh God.
Or just Billy Tista, I can't remember. No, he literally just called her Billy Tista and didn't say anything else. And we were just like, that's weird, but okay. And then I came out second, and he called me Space Jesus. And I got out there and I was like, excuse me, sir, in my childlike voice. I was like, excuse me, sir, my name's Charlie. It was so fun. And then Dream Girl Ellie came out, and she came out as Billy Starks.
Oh my God. What the hell?
And literally the guy was standing in the corner I don't know, this is what you guys gave me. And I looked at the thing and I was like, yeah, it says, I guess apparently Billy wrote hers down first or something, but it was Billy's and then mine and then Ellie's. And I was like, why did you just stay on Billy's? I was super, super, super confused. But then I took the mic and I decided I was going to be a ring announcer for that second. And I ring announced all of us in the ring, separately. And yeah, it was something. I definitely told the promoter, yeah, that was bad. The match was good. The match I had no problem with at all. It was literally the ring announcer just threw all of us off. Billy came out as Billy Tista, I came out as Space Jesus, and then Ellie came out as Billy Starks, and we were just all super, super confused.
I felt like he should have wrote it on separate index cards instead of on. Did he write it on all one cards?
I mean, he wrote it on one. Usually that's how it happens, is if they'll have one match, one card for one match, and it'll have the first person, the second, or if it's numerous people, they'll have it all on one. And he did have it all on one, and we were confused.
Yeah.
So, I mean, luckily we were in Jeffersonville, where everybody knows who I am. Everybody knows who Billy is. I think everybody was just now getting used to Ellie, because I think that was her. She's still new to that area, but me and Billy are from that area, and we wrestled many times in that building. So people obviously knew who we were, and even the audience was super confused. They were like, "That's not Billy, that's Charlie." Yeah, so it was a show, but our match was good, so we got that.
I was gonna say, it didn't take away from the match though. At least the match was good. At least did he botch the winner wrong? Did you win? Did he call you Billy or something?
Ellie actually won, and I don't even remember, because I was on the ground dying, because I think I took something or something. So I wasn't paying attention if he even announced the winner or not. But if he did, I hope he got it right the second time,
Well, I feel like a lot of people who were there and a lot of people who saw the match are waiting for another triple threat match. After this whole COVID thing is over, what are your goals? What would you like to accomplish?
Oh my gosh. I don't even know, really. I mean, I guess I do. wrestle everywhere, just wrestle as much as I can. I want to wrestle for shows that I have always wanted to wrestle for. I want to wrestle for Battle Club Pro, Black Label Pro. I want to I want to go back to Zello Pro. I would love to go back to Zello. I want to wrestle for Mission Pro Wrestling. There's still a lot of shows out there that I want to wrestle for and make a name at. And of course, WWE is coming back for their live events, so maybe I can try stepping my foot into there again. But we'll see. So I'm super excited.
I cannot wait. I'm rooting for you. I hope to see you at a show in Connecticut. I'm from Connecticut, so try to come out to Connecticut, Charlie. You never know. Charlie, I just want to thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for coming on the show. This was a lot of fun.
It was. I thank you so much for being here. Or I'm sorry. Blah blah blah. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. One last thing. Drop those plugs. Where can the nerds find you?
Everything on social media, all is Charlie Kruel. Even my TikTok. I do have a TikTok. Very random, but I do have a TikTok. It's under Charlie Kruel as well. Twitter, Instagram, all Charlie Kruel. Facebook, Charlie Kruel. My YouTube is Charlie Kruel Wrestling, or you just look up Charlie Kruel. You can find anything if you just look up Charlie Kruel. I'm sure you can find me. My merchandise is at whatamaneuver.com, and you can just search up Charlie Kruel, and it will pop up. So
there you go, nerds. Go check out Charlie Kruel on all those social media platforms and go support her by buying some of her merch. This has been an episode of What's Up Wrestler, a podcast by Nerds of Wrestling. I am your host, Justin Del Rio. Peace out.